Well, it was an intriguing moment a few days to the election, September 21 in Edo State, and also intriguing and the day of the election, and of course, more intriguing, the night where collation was also going on, and can we say even getting more interesting and intriguing, even after an announcement was declared, where the All Progressive Congress gubernatorial candidate in the person of Senator Mondo Kwebolo, was declared a winner of the election and returned as governor-elect. Looking at what transpired in the process, joining me in the studio, I have a political analyst, Christopher Ojekere. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, also joining me via Zoom, we have the immediate commissioner, South Police Service Commission, media practitioner, and social mobilizer, Austin Adogame Brimo. Good morning, Austin.
Good morning, everyone in the studio. Good morning, Edo people. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right, good to have you join. And now let me start with you, Christopher Jekari. We said the election has come and gone, but it seems that we are believing that it's not over yet. But what's your take? Let's start with that. The mood of the election, September 21.
The election is not over. It's still with us. It's with us by indications, which you noticed on Sunday evening, after the announcement was made by Wike's cousin, who is the resident electoral commissioner. Up until this moment, Edo is wearing a look of pensiveness. Edo people are mourning rather than rejoicing. The way people mourn when they have been robbed, when they have been deprived, when they have been cheated. That is the mood across the entire Edo state, from Edo South onto Edo North through the central. So the election is still very much with us. Because people came out on Saturday in numbers to exercise their franchise, which is their rights constitutionally, which is a culture of democracy. In fact, the most salient culture of democracy is the ballot. And so on Saturday, people came out to exercise their ballot. And then at the end of the day, the results they were getting from the electoral umpire, who is a cousin, I'm going to have to keep repeating that, of Wike, Nyesom Wike, the result that was announced by him was not the results the people had in their units, in their wards, and in the LGA collation centers. The discrepancy between the results in the IREV, which is INEC's own portal, and what we have at the unit level and at the ward level and the LGA level is so different that all election observers, without one exception, I'm talking of observers, not PDP people, not Edo people here, observers who came, agree that the discrepancy is so manifest that the computation had to be redone. So the election is still very much with us here in Edo State because the people cannot rejoice. You cannot rejoice when you have been stolen from, when you have been muzzled, when you have been oppressed by forces, executive forces, with reckless abandon from the state that should assist in the process of democracy. They turned themselves into the enemy of the people. So much so that I tell you, go and ask anybody who is from Sabogida, Ora, or One West. In Sabogida, Ora, in my presence, a police officer attacked a military officer who was trying to do the right thing, trying to create order, because the police officer wanted to infringe and the army officer wanted things to go right. He attacked him in the middle of Sabogida Square, around the park, and even poured on his face pepper spray, sprayed it on his face. I was trying to seize his rifle, but the professionalism of the army officer prevailed. Despite the efforts, he kept his rifle and kept his cool. And as I told the other police officers later, I said, you don't know that what you are doing is advertising your unprofessionalism, and because some of them were very professional, let me not be biased. Some of the police were very professional. They talked to us like people. I said, but some of you create, and I've given you an image that is so odoriferous. And that is why you find that even though you have the slogan, the police is our friend, the actions of those ones alienate people from you. The police is supposed to be a civil society with arms. That's what the police is. So people want to be your friends, but this kind of character, attacking a fellow security personnel and put the pepper spray in his face. If that man had released that rifle, the election would have been stopped. Because there were several other, police officers and military officers, hanging around, and then there would have been chaos.
All right, thank you, Christopher.
So the point I'm making that activities, incidences from the election is still very much with us. The people don't feel that anything has been decided.
All right. Hardly a time when an election of this magnitude is conducted where there wouldn't be agitations. And globally, we understand all of these show up, when elections are being conducted. But is it enough to impeach negatively, looking at the entire process that transpired in the Edo gubernatorial election? Is it enough to impact negatively on what we got as an outcome? Because we look at the statement also credited to the DIG of police, where he also communicated the message of the IG and said that a whole lot has been said in the direction of it was a violent-free election. And of course, there was no incidents of death recorded or attack on any INEC officials. But we are fortunate to be joined by a seasoned analyst. And from my immediate left, I have a lecturer at University of Benin and public affairs analyst in the person of Honorable Frank Amego. Thanks for joining, Amego.
Thanks for having me this morning.
At my extreme, I also have a lecturer at University of Benin and a political scientist, Neville Obakedo. Thanks for coming.
Good morning, ITV. Thank you for having me this morning.
All right. While before the break, we had Christopher Jekere. Thanks for also being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Your thoughts on the polls was that what transpired impinged negatively on the results. And let's get your take on this. Austin, joining us via Zoom from Auchi. Let's get your take on this and your perception of what transpired at the polls.
Thank you. I have listened to my colleague in the studio. I don't agree with him. At the same time, I sympathize with him because things like this are bound to happen. Disputation is normal with every election, not only in this country, but everywhere. I would like to go straight first. The example he used with the Nigerian police force. I want to state unequivocally that I was on ground in my own area, Esako, and I moved around part of the 3 local governments in Esako. I was also an election monitor, though unofficially, because I functioned with the Police Service Commission. Our job is to monitor the conduct of policemen during elections, not the voting itself, but we monitor the conduct of police officers during national elections. And in that capacity, I moved around to see what role the policemen were playing, and I give them 100%. All the police officers deployed to my part of the state performed their duties 100%. I want anyone to contradict me. I went around most of the voting units and centers in the 3 local governments of Esako. And what I saw was excellent representation of the Nigerian police force in the discharge of duties by the officers and men deployed to this side. Well, unfortunately, my colleague in the studio said there was an officer that used pepper spray. And I'm not sure that officer was in the voting units. If it's in the collation center, that's a different thing entirely. But we don't even allow any such weapon to be carried by an officer that's attached to a voting unit, because you cannot carry any weapon of any kind. The Electoral Act forbids that. Those who are allowed to take certain weapons, such as he has mentioned, are those who stayed about 1 kilometer away from voting centers. Those are the people that can be called upon when there are threats, physical threats to voting. voting was peaceful in my parts of the state. I monitored the voting. I also did my own voting and then went out to monitor. Everything was fine. One would not expect anyway that any party that loses will go clapping. We have not grown to that yet in Africa, in Nigeria. And then we should expect disputations. My colleague should be able to present. I'm sure he was in one. He witnessed the spray of the gas. He could give us a video of that. We will take action. I'm sure there are enough information out there that when any police officer is found to be carrying out duties that are inimical, that are not in tandem with the official assignment given to them, such events should be recorded, and the channel of reporting are clear and everywhere. And so we would like to see that incident, how it was recorded, how it came out to play, that a police officer confronted a military officer in line of duty, and that the police officer was doing what was wrong, and the military officer was correcting him, and he sprayed gas. And we like to see that. That would tell a lot of story, and I'll be glad to receive that. We had we had about 3 directors from the Police Service Commission on ground reporting to another officer in Benin. Here in my own side, we had about 3 or 4 senior officers from the Police Service Commission, besides other officers that were on ground monitoring the conduct of police officers. I can assure you, I did not hear any negative report from many of them. Even in Benin, where we have more staff from the commission, I was in touch with them by phone regularly. There was no such report of misconduct from any police officer during this event. Well, there might be disputations about these figures, blah, blah, blah. I think as usual, we are used to going to court. So there's no need whipping up sentiments, creating disenchantments, discrediting what has been done, attacking the electoral officer. After all, Wike was the governor's man Friday in the last election. So Wike has already turned an enemy of the PDP. I think these are political. I don't think it's right for me to even delve into political issues, saying that an INEC officer is a cousin, a wife, a brother to a minister who is clearly still a PDP member, a PDP leader, and because he has sympathy or he is working with a ruling party, and so everybody related or close to him should be ostracized, should not be allowed to, it cannot be a Nigerian. I can assure you that even if we bring electoral umpires from the sky, from US, from Canada, to come and officiate here, if we lose, we are still going to discredit them. It's in our blood. We don't accept defeat. So maybe, as usual, the courts will be there to educate, to decide whether or not IRA figures we had variance with what was declared at the polling units and at the collation centers and so on.
Thank you.
We don't accept defeat. This is
Thank
my
you. Thank you for that.
I think we should learn to accept defeat.
Thank you for that, Mr. Austin. Let me critique what you said earlier, but you said you don't want to delve into politics, but you are already delved into it fully.
Leg deep.
You are not delving into politics, but from what you said, you delved fully into politics. And Austin, I don't know if you saw the clip just now where someone who was on the ballot, also ventilated his opinion about the harassment, the violations that were seen during the course of the election, and you weren't on the ballot. And you could know that he who wears the shoe knows where it pinches most. And you also said that you were in charge of your area at the Edo North. So you scored the performance of the police conduct 100%. Don't you think that is too generous to do? Because you basically were not even in the areas where you didn't cover. And you also said that you even get feelers from the Edo South on how it transpired on other areas. But are you not also thinking that they gave you what they expect you to get? So why did you just jump into conclusions? Because it will sound as if you are sentimental in this. Austin.
Very much. I made it clear that I did the monitoring unofficially, not officially, because I have not yet returned to my office as the commissioner representing South-South. So I did this unofficially. But the staff of the commission that are on ground are in touch with me. And as a citizen, as a responsible senior citizen, I was out to carry out my civic responsibility to vote for a candidate of my choice, and at the same time assist the commission and my staff that are on ground to assist them in ensuring that their job was well done. So in that capacity, I said I was also involved in unofficial monitoring. And so I could give you, with that benefit of my experience and expertise, that the performance of the Nigerian police force in my area, I mentioned the 3 local governments that I was physically present, I can give them 100%.
Okay.
And by saying that I don't want to delve into politics, is to make you understand that I will not like to come here and say PDP is that, APC is that, because that is what is in the air now. The winners are crying, winners are celebrating.
Thank you. You've established it. You've established it that you said that on the capacity of unofficial grounds, and that's understandable. But that shouldn't have been said at all. But let's come to Frank Amego.
Yes.
You saw what went on, and I believe you have thoughts on how it impacted on the electoral process.
Yes, as our colleague on Zoom said, you can only talk about what you really witnessed. That is not going to delve into politics. I'm sure he's been penciled down for one position or the other in the next administration. And he spoke like an APC stalwart. And that's what I spoke by my analysis here. I think what we should be talking about is a post-mortem. What has happened has happened. We're not going to look at the, if you don't mind, the algorithm, the processes, the procedures, all that went through for us to have Edo State the way we are right now. So for the police at my ward, Ward 5, Uwelo, under a local government area, it was very peaceful. So I cannot use that by extrapolation and conclude that that was what panned out all through the various centers all around Edo State. If you are categorical, whether official or unofficial, as our colleague said over there, I would prefer an eyewitness account. Then you leave other discussants to showcase what they also witnessed, to give an overriding statement that for the police it was 100%, that becomes suspicious. That's on one leg. What we are seeing now played out is not as if we call people from US, Canada, will still complain. No, that's not true. You are just belittling our intelligence over here. At Ibobaka, in particular, Ologbo, I saw the results posted that the number of accredited voters and the number of those that ended up voting, the valid votes, far outweighed the number of accredited voters.
So that's excess voting.
Yeah, where is it done? And in every area where you had such an anomaly, APC won. So it was a deliberate, calculated attempt to rubbish the process. And in all of this, I know very clearly, I don't need to show any evidence, that INEC is culpable. What will happen to the RF? The results displayed there different from what was announced. So it's INEC that's in charge of both. So if you say the RF is of no consequence anymore, they will just ignore it. Meanwhile, various party agents got their results from their various polling units, and that's a contradiction with what INEC now officially announced.
But you said earlier that even in the polling units, the results that were compiled, like what you got to know,
Yes.
Was different from what was on IREF.
Yes.
You also said that there was excessive voting in some areas.
Ologbo in particular.
So don't you think why it was different was because INEC must have noticed that and also corrected that anomaly? That's why you saw it differently on the IREF.
The correction would have been on the negative. How do you correct a result where the number of voters far outweigh that of accredited voters? So if they did a correction, it was a correction not in tandem with good governance.
But are you sure you can say that because you did not see exactly what they did? And so probably INEC officials, of course.
Which sides?
Because you said
the
results that were announced at the polling unit
Yes.
was different from one that was posted on IREF.
Yes. IREF is there for everybody to see. It's an online thing. Just click on it. You'll see the results. That was different. I'm talking about what I saw on phone. Click on that site, you will see results displayed. That one is different from what INEC now announced on Sunday or thereabout.
Okay.
There are two different results.
I think the pendulum will swing back to you later on, Christopher, because I know you are itching to respond to even what Austin said via Zoom from Auchi. But let's quickly take your thoughts on what transpired. Neville, as a political scientist, give us a thought from the perspective of a scientist and a researcher.
Thank you for having me this morning. When I went to vote, those who know that I used to do analysis on election day here at the studios were asking me why I came to vote instead of coming to do analysis on television. So I'm here now for the analysis.
You're welcome.
It is very unfortunate that we are citizens of Nigeria, citizens of Edo State, citizens of Kogi State, citizens of Bayelsa State, of Ondo State, of Ekiti State, and any other state where you have off-cycle election. Why is it unfortunate? The reason is because the election that we are conducting now in 2024 is the same 2007 election that we conducted that led us to off-cycle election. And it appears that we have not learned anything. And so we keep on repeating history. I see on election day, people struggling. Policemen or security officials struggling to get money from the leading political parties on election day at polling units. I see on election day, those that are assigned to go and conduct election, if they notice the presence of a political leader in that area, they immediately dispatch one of them to go and get money for those of them that were assigned to come and conduct
What do you mean? You mean the ad hoc staff or of INEC?
Whether adult staff, whether a staff of INEC, whether men of the armed forces, whether men of the police. My brother is from Edo North, is here. I don't know whether he measured that aspect of it. So in every election, people jostle to get what they
You just indicted some of the security agents, and of course also the ad hoc staff and INEC officials by saying that. So that's why I said, can you authenticate this?
The statement that I've made just now, if you call it an indictment, so be it, because this is what I've observed in every election. Apart from coming here to discuss election, I observe election. In every election in this state, at least I move around with my co-monitoring people across 12 local governments in every election. So when I want to make statement about an election, I make a statement that you can verify from one local government to another or one ward to another, because there's no barring wall between one polling unit and another, and between a ward and another, and between a local government and another in this state and elsewhere. Now, coming to Edo State governorship election proper, this election, there have been heated debates, claims and counter-claims about the election, which is normal. It goes to show that election is war by other means, and that those who want to acquire power, they tend to be violent, and those who want to lose power or who are afraid of losing power, they also tend to be violent. And so all the forms of violence that we saw during the election, the signing of peace accord and non-signing of peace accord, they were all manifestations of the conflictual scenario of every election.
Okay, but all of this you are saying, is it enough to impact negatively on the electoral process for you to say that it wasn't transparent and it was really not to have been announced?
No, I cannot say the election was not transparent, because where I voted, it was the wish of the people that was announced, and the agents were giving the results, and the results were uploaded in our presence. So, and those who had access to INEC IREV, they confirmed that it was the result that was declared, that the agents had, that were uploaded. So I cannot come here now to say the election was not transparent. Now, the crafters of the law, the crafters of the Electoral Act, or the drafters of the Electoral Act, that is, members of the National Assembly, they had wisdom that there will be the tendency that people may subvert the process. And that was why they made it mandatory for political parties to provide their agents in every polling unit. And that is why political parties also have what we call situation rooms, where as the results are coming in from their agents, of course, if your polling unit where you have an agent is unit 1 of Ward 10, for instance, in a local government, the result that your agent will forward to you will not just carry the result of your political party. It will carry the results of all the political parties, all the votes there. So you can tabulate it. And that tabulation is to prepare you for the court in case you are outsmarted, in case the supposed impartial umpire, INEC in this case, gives your mandate or steals your mandate,
Okay.
and give to another political party. You now have evidence from your agents on ground, evidence from INEC IREB, that you can now tender to say this mandate was stolen.
Okay, in the overall, what do you score the electoral process? Let's get vividly what your impressions are.
In the overall, what I scored INEC.
The electoral process entirely.
The electoral process entirely. Okay. I scored the electoral process a distinction.
Okay.
Yes, a distinction. Not necessarily up to 100%.
Okay, so
like
so which means the result shouldn't be in contention.
If I say I scored the process a distinction, which is an A, starting from 70 to 100, I am not saying that the result should not be contested, because it is not the question about the result that you asked me.
But it's the process that churned out the result.
If you say the result that were declared, that's a different thing.
Huh?
It's electoral. When you say the process is a process that a long process. Are you getting it? It's a process. It's an electoral process with a very long process.
Okay, are you in tandem with the results that the electoral process came up with?
I'm not the one to say that one. I'm not the one to say whether I'm in tandem with the result. INEC is empowered by law, by the Electoral Act, to announce the result of an election.
Okay.
That was how they announced the result of an election in 2007.
Thank you for being tactical.
But let me finish now. Let me finish. This is a very vital point. People are watching me now. The INEC announced the result in 2007. And the people that felt that result was not the correct result, they brought facts and went to court. And for the first time, I saw where they brought a machine to court and they were removing some results that were not genuine. And then that was how Comrade Adams Ali Oshimole became governor.
I'm not talking about that.
No, I'm
talking about this current one.
If the results of this election, they are contested by the opposition, the leading opposition parties, in this case, the PDP and Labour Party, if they are contesting the result, they have the results with them now. Is it not for them to go to court with evidence that they want?
You know, why I said that was because of what you said. You made mention of the fact that even in the voting units, there were some security agents that were also, involved in vote buying, and of course,
that was not what I said. Or
collecting money from the political figures that were present in the units.
It is common with every election. I'm not saying it's only this 2024.
Okay, that is a resemblance of vote buying. Yeah. So let's get your thoughts. You've been waiting patiently. I'll come back to you.
It's a part of stomach infrastructure that goes with election.
That's why I said it's a resemblance. It's a resemblance.
It's not a
I'll come back to you, Neville.
There are two different things. Vote merchandising is different from this one we're talking about.
You've been waiting patiently. Big thanks for that. Now, let's get your opinions and your reactions over what Austin said.
Yes, you must understand that Neville is not a politician. He's a lecturer at the university who is speaking from his own observation. I'm a PDP member who was involved in the election. So I have raw data from the field. First of all, it is not part of the electoral guideline that as commissioner in the Police Service Commission, you should have the mandate to do election monitoring on the day of election, as Austin has just confessed that he did. It's not one of those, if you check the lists of those who are to do election monitoring, accredited by INEC. So,
but he already said
if he could move around,
he didn't go there as an observer, but to monitor what the police security agents were doing.
What the law says is that you stay within 500 yards of your polling unit. So if he could move around the entire local governments in Isako unhindered That was an abuse of his office. And that's an example of the police impunity that I've just said. He was doing that in his capacity and influence as a commissioner of police in the police service commissioner.
Maybe he did that unofficially, like he said.
Unofficially, he should have been stopped by the police and the military forces to say, please go back to your polling unit. You don't have the right. Your name is not among those. It's election monitors, police assigned to election duties, and the military that are assigned to election duties that can move around. And the INEC. But he was moving around, unchecked. So that's a clear evidence of what I'm talking about. But what he doesn't know, and I'm happy that he was honest enough to say that he covered ASACO. I can name names here, but I don't want to name them on set, of collation centers in Oredo local government area and Ikobaka local government areas, where policemen came, numbering 30 in some cases, and ordered our collation officers, all collation officers there, to get into the vehicle at gunpoint and took them to the INEC headquarters in Ikpoba Hill. And that happened in several units that are units that have high population, voting population that you can call the swing units in the Edo elections.
Was it not possible that they got a security report and so they needed to secure the collation officers and of course the ballot papers?
Before an election, you are to identify all your centers, the voting units, the ward collation units, and the local government collation units. You don't go out of there. That's the law. That is why you were brought 35,000 of you plus 8,000 on ground. That is why you were brought. So deploy your men in that collation center. So if you had any security report, all you needed to do was to increase the number of security personnel.
Without necessarily changing the location?
You must not change the location. That's why we have guidelines, INEC guidelines. Every time.
So do you mean to say that INEC itself does not have discretion to change location for any reason whatsoever?
No. What would be your reason? The only reason will be security concerns. And that's why the IDP told us that he's sending 35,000 strong. We have the 4th Mechanized Division in Benin City. So if you needed to fight a war against the Republic of Benin, your 35,000 policemen and the 8,000 other security forces couldn't help you, you can make a call. And then the 4th Mechanized Division will send in. If that's not enough for you, we ask for Masaba. If that's not for you, we ask for Wari. But they came there at gunpoint and took them to the INEC headquarters. When they got to INEC headquarters, they will tell them the collation point is this. As the collation officers get there, they've already taken the pass from them. They say, okay, it's no more here, it's here. When they go, they say it's no more here. I mean, we have names, agents. And then you saw our DG. I'm not just saying it now, right at when it was happening, he was on TV. It was being covered in INEC headquarters, crying out that they have taken in the results and he has, with his eyes, seen the wreck, collecting results. The resident electoral commissioner collecting results, and our agents are outside. But if you go to INEC headquarters, it was like, look, people were saying, and market women are still saying it now, we have this kind of force in Nigeria, we are being troubled by bandits and terrorists, that if we apply the same kind of zeal with which you kept Edo people away from doing their duties in Sambisa Forest and so on and so forth, insecurity will be over in Nigeria by now. So they came and spirited them away at gunpoint. The Ologbo incident that he's mentioning is not a fluke. It was 151 registered voters in a particular polling unit. And the result that was assigned to APC, there was 2,110 votes. I have the figures that was assigned to APC alone. And the duration period was about 2 hours. Anybody familiar with what is going on in the polling unit knows that you can't register and vote 200 people within 2 hours.
Okay, but you said you have the figures, but what makes you not think that INEC officials must have tackled that aspect where they would have corrected that?
INEC officials don't correct results. It's not their duty to correct results. It's their duty to submit the results they have computed to the higher officer.
Okay, but is it not possible it was corrected in the process?
You don't. I am telling you the results that were declared at the INEC headquarters, which is one of the things we are contesting. And such matter happened in several units. Now, every time you tried to, as an agent, the most credible on-spot evidence you can have for any election is the agent. So if you are not an agent and you are saying you are going up and down, you will go there and say what you observe when you are at that spot. Not what happened when you left that spot. Where I was, for instance, where I voted in my local government area of Okuje, Ward 10 and 11 in Naviola Primary School. I saw a man that had gray beards like me and was wearing papa cap. Every time someone voted and the person was leaving, the man became, so I now called my colleagues and said, this man is such a friend of the entire community that every time somebody voted, he escorted him down towards the river and then came back. And then somebody now told me, he's the one that has the money for APC and is giving them 10,000 for everybody that voted. And I invited him. Because we already had security report that they had their boys planted, that if we were winning, they'll scatter the place. So I was being very careful and diplomatic.
Are you now saying that vote buying didn't even cut across even your party also?
I didn't see. I am telling you, he just said where he voted. The man said where he voted. I'm telling you where I voted. Was it who?
The party was not involved in that.
I was almost.
No. Where you voted, your party was not involved. I don't expect you to tell me that your party was not involved. Was involved in that anyways.
My party wasn't involved.
No, I don't expect you to say that.
I can tell you now. You take my word for it. My party wasn't involved.
Or it happened prior to the day of election.
I was so vigilant that the police officer they had to come to me and say, "Sir, do you stay here?" You know, because I was quiet but everything they were doing, I was doing. So he noticed me.
Okay.
I said, no, I don't say. I said, where do you say Benin? So what do you do in Benin?
Okay, I'll come back to you.
That's not part of the election. Are you following me? So the point I'm making, he's trying to defend the police. He should say what he knows. They need to answer why police officers came to the collation centers to take away agents
at gunpoint.
Yes, at gunpoint.
Okay, Austin, over to you. You heard what the political analyst said, Christopher Ojekere. Let's get your thoughts, Austin, because you were the immediate commissioner, South Police Service Commission. And I want your thoughts on the practice as it should be by law, if it's possible for security agents when collation is going on to at gunpoint mandate and order, collation officers to move with their materials away from that location to the state INEC office. Is it in order to do that?
Thank you, my brother. I sympathize with my brother in the studio, Joe Kiri. I sympathize with him. Like I said, I have presented myself on this program as an independent analyst. I did not introduce myself as a PDP or APC leader or member. That does not preclude me from having sympathy. I voted. So you must know I voted for a candidate. And I also made it clear what the role of the Police Service Commission is during any election. But unfortunately, Joe Kere does not even really understand the difference between election monitoring and monitoring police conduct. What the commission do is to monitor police conduct, not election monitoring. So for election monitoring, you may be presented to, you go and get accredited like yourself from this, what the Electoral Act said about this. The commission has the duty to monitor the conduct of police officers during any activity. So that is the role that all the commission staff, I say almost all, we are deployed to Edo State for that exercise. And as the immediate commissioner, South, because as we speak, there is no official commissioner South. The commissioner was deployed to Edo State from the commission. That's DIG Lekanu. He is from Southwest because he's the official commissioner. There are only 3 commissioners. So other commissioners have not been appointed. In my capacity as the immediate past commissioner, I had to assist. So I made that clear to you. I assisted my colleagues in that capacity because I was on ground and I'm still on ground. I was here during the campaign. I saw what was happening. I witnessed and saw all what went on in the donut and in my side. So when Jekere is saying that I was not supposed to be allowed to move around, that is preposterous. It means you don't really understand what the role is of the Police Service Commission. The policemen know we are there to ensure that they do their duty properly and professionally. Then he has so many allegations. Why I say I see partner with him is that, yes, as a PDP leader, he's aggrieved. He's feeling pained that his party lost. That's why he's saying everything is thrown into the public space. Allegations. I told him we need a video or a recording of that police officer that tear gas or use
Okay,
pepper spray on a
Mr.
speaker.
Austin, can you please
I'm
quickly
coming.
comment to the question I asked?
I'm going to that now.
Yes,
now
okay.
he said again that policemen went to maybe to a collation center and compelled at one point. Does he have the evidence? These are allegations, and I do not expect all these kind of allegations thrown into public space without evidence. If you agreed, you can always allege and allege and allege. If it is proven that Nigerian police force carried guns and went and compelled collation officers and moved them to INEC. They did not move them to a PDP house or an APC leader house, but to INEC office. So it means they were under the directive to do so, to protect. They are there to protect. They did not shoot. They did not molest. They said, it's time for you to move. That is their job. If you find anything wrong in that, whether or not they were carried armored cars or not to protect the electoral process, it's immaterial. They did not come with firearms to voting units. That's what the Electoral Act prohibits. But they did not say you cannot protect the electoral materials after voting to collation center or where they are going to be uploaded. So whichever method that protection was done, you should go and check if the law has been violated. I can assure no law was violated. But to help a situation to say 30 policemen came and ordered at gunpoint, ordered the material to be moved to somebody's house or to where? To INEC office. Were they tampered with on the way? That's what we should verify. Let us know where they were moving the material. Were they hijacked?
Thank you, Mr. Austin.
Did the police not remove anything?
Thank you, Mr. Austin.
You
still have the floor. You still have the floor, Mr. Austin. You still have the floor. But good enough, you tried on responding to that. But don't you see it as very, very expedient and imperative that a contest of this height should have been done like the cards put on the table barely for everybody to see it, so that it will be transparent enough so that there won't be issues emanating from distrust in the process? And again, I also want your response as regards a situation where reports have been alleged that where we get allegations on the fact that some of this or the party agents of the PDP were prevented even after the collation officers and the materials went to the state INEC office, but the party agents that were supposed to scrutinize and see how the process went on were prevented from being part of the process. Do you see that as transparent? Do you see that as lawful? Do you see that as expedient?
Proving. If they are proving, there are laws to take care of that. I will not tell you that all such acts are lawful, but there are always allegations of this and that when election has taken place. There has been no time a loser of an election has not raised all sorts of allegations. The court is there to prove it. We had a local government election not long ago, 18/18. And I won't compare that with this is from National Electoral Umpire that handled this, and we will know that this is going to be an improvement on that. So
are you trying to use that to justify the 18/18 you said? Are you saying that as a justification for what transpired that was perceived as not transparent?
If you are talking of justification, I will laugh, my brother. We are all from Edo State. I'm an Edo indigene. I'm a voter. I have a national duty to perform, even as a Nigerian. So if you are saying whether I should compare, we are supposed to be improving. We are improving. And then when allegations are made, if you go to court, if we want to be decent, there's no point scrutinizing. We should scrutinize all this. Can we have a perfect election? Donald Trump protested his loss and even organized a protest to the Capitol. So protests and all that will not reverse what the people have done. Let me be frank with you. This is the best election I've seen in Edo North. I want you to understand that, because I watched my colleagues there belaboring the fact that there were malpractices. Look at the votes from my part of the state. 17,000 to 34,000. APC has all the political leaders. Who are those that votes? There is no single mention 2 PDP leaders in Nesako. Mention all the leaders have moved to APC. And APC, all the political leaders. There's no more name 2, 3 PDP leaders. I'm speaking in Edo State. I'm here. They've all moved to APC, and here PDP got 17,000. And then you are saying there were malpractices. To me, that is the fairest and the best election we conducted in recent times. All the places I went, like I told you, and you don't see, I watched the policemen. I was not monitoring the voting. I did my own vote and move around to see how policemen will behave, so that I can tell my colleagues, send my records to my colleagues, and say, this is
Thank
what
you,
I saw.
Mr. Austin. There's a time allotted to this segment of conversation. I'll be coming back to you to take your final remarks on this segment. But let's quickly have your remarks, as regards moving forward, in order to get it right in the electoral process in 2 minutes.
Yes, I would have expected the last speaker to have said, there was a statement he was about making. Maybe he just realized I shouldn't have made that openly. He said, I'm a card. They would have said carrying.
It's a slip of tongue.
It's not a slip of tongue. That's what he promised you security.
No,
it's not a slip of tongue. He wanted to say it. But from his posture, if he can just openly say and deny that is not a card-carrying member of APC, I would have been so glad. Because from what he's discussing, it's as if he's holding forth for APC. If he was unbiased, as he claimed, he's monitoring, then the monitoring should be balanced.
Okay, in 15 seconds, back to the question.
So,
your thoughts on making it right.
To conclude is, this is not the end of the whole process. Any aggrieved party, Labour or APC, PDP, could go further to challenge the results.
Okay.
They have that opportunity to do that.
All right.
But I'm scared of federal might. That's what I'm scared of.
Okay, when we get to that bridge, we'll know how to navigate through. Let's get your thoughts.
Every process, every election has guidelines. Results were being uploaded into the IREF. That is the most important part of this discussion. It's IREF that was provided by INEC. There were no hitches. Why did they stop uploading results into the IREF after they have seen, after several results have been uploaded and they have seen that the PDP was clearly leading? Why did INEC stop uploading results into the IREF?
It could have been as a result of hitches, don't forget.
They didn't announce any hitches, and up till now they've not been able to supply us the reason why. And then that is when all this trouble started. It was going smoothly. The results were being uploaded straight into the IREF according to the guidelines. Why was the guideline disrupted?
Okay, you have 15 seconds.
Yes. Now, I also want them to understand that we are going to court. It's not as if we'll go further. We're going to court. We have mountains of evidence to prove the infractions. The results in the IREF collated alone is different. Even if you bring only those results in the IREF against the one on the paper, the discrepancy is huge. Now talk of what you now started to. And I also want to say on all authority here that they were collating our results in the INEC headquarters against the law. They were collecting the results in the INEC headquarters against the law. And we have eyewitnesses' accounts there inside where they were doing that.
Okay, let's get your final remarks in 20 seconds, Nebel.
My remark is that Nigerians have not learned any lessons about elections. I see people in tertiary institutions struggling to go and participate in elections. Why? Because of what they are going to get from the field. I see security men struggling to be deployed for election purposes because they want to go and get something from the field. I see INEC officials or the supposed partial umpire members struggling to go for an election, especially off-cycle election, because of what they are going to get from the field. I see voters struggling to sell their votes, and people are willing, politicians are willing to buy votes. It shows that we have learned nothing and we have forgotten nothing. So it is the same circle of the same process.
All right, thank you so much.
People are always ready to go and shortchange themselves and their future in every election. And that is what played out. That is what I've been playing out. That played out.
Thank you.
Manifestation of stomach reverse.
Thank you. Austin, please. I want you to round off. Yes, let's balance it. I want you to round off, Austin, in 20 seconds. Austin, are you there, please?
I appreciate it. In fact, Dr. Neville, he has said my mind. I do not have to be partial or impartial. What is important is for us to give facts to people to douse tension. Whether I'm a card-carrying member of any party, it could have been PDP, could have been APC or Labour. But what is important, I'm a Nigerian, and I must have sympathy. So I'm happy with the way this discussion have gone. I want to thank ITV and everyone there, and let's move forward. If you have grievances, go to court. Let's not whip sentiments. Let's not draw our people's emotions into crisis. Let's move forward, please. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Austin. You sound like the normal politician that will say that if you are not satisfied, go to court.
Go to court.
That's where it's talking from.
Yes.
Thank you, Austin. Big thanks, Christopher Ejekere, for taking our time to be part of this, and Honorable Frank Amego, and big thanks, Nebula
Thank you.
Pakedo.